When Jim's not here hosting the Personal Computing Show, he's wearing another hat, Executive Director of PC Week Labs, and that's where he gets to play with all the cool toys. And to make his time in front of the PC even more fun, he's added a sound card. It brings not only a new dimension to games and multimedia titles, but also sound effects for routine things like opening and closing files. Now he's going to show you how you can do the same thing without hitting a single sour note.
When I'm not on the set, you can usually find me here in my office playing around with technology. Now today we're going to install a soundboard into this computer that I've already got opened on my desk. And when you open up the box, you end up with not only the soundboard, which is right here, but you get the installation manual, the user's guide, and also a bunch of diskettes. We're going to be using all these today. Now, this soundboard is actually a pretty good example of a soundboard. As you can see right here, there are only a couple of little jumpers. A lot of other soundboards will have a whole forest of jumpers all the way across this thing. Now, this is great because we can just use software to do the DMA, interrupt, and base I/O settings rather than having to change the jumpers, plug it in, and then take it back out. Now, that DMA, interrupt, and base I/O, they're used so that the board can communicate with the computer uniquely, because every board you stick in the computer has to have a unique way to talk to the computer. Now, actually installing the board into the computer is really rather easy, but before you do that, make sure you back up your computer on a backup tape, because even if you're just installing a board or doing something relatively simple, there's always the off chance that you could short a wire out or cause a problem, and you wouldn't want to lose everything on your hard drive. So I've already backed up on here, and now installing the board, just find an open slot, and slowly, carefully, very carefully, slide it in from the back forward. Now, before we're ready to install the software, we want to make sure and hook the speakers up, because a lot of the installation programs, as they go through, will use the speakers to make sure that the board's actually working. So I got the speakers all set right here. On the back of the card are a number of different little ports that you can plug this into. One for plugging a CD drive or something like that into it, another one for a microphone. You have to make sure you plug it into the right one, too, because if you plug it into the wrong one, you may think it's not working, when actually it is. So anyway, this one's right in the middle, so I'll plug it in right there. And now we're all ready to install the software. Take the disk, stick it in the drive, and the program's called install, so I'll just go over to the A drive and type in install. And we'll install the software and the hardware, and you'll see when we do that if everything's working out right and all those interrupt and DMA stuff that I talked about are correct, then we'll get a sound out of the speakers. Let's see if that happens. Yep, it sounds like we've got the right DMA and interrupt channel. So we'll just go ahead and install the rest of the drivers and some of the add-on programs. And this, remember, this is DOS only. And when we're done with DOS, we'll go into Windows, because you've got to install the Windows drivers separately. Just because it works under DOS doesn't mean it's going to work under Windows. And we'll get the Windows installation disk right here, put that in drive A. And all we have to do is run the setup program off of that disk right there. To install the Windows drivers, once Windows is loaded, it's just Alt File, Run, A:\install. Along with installing the Windows drivers, it also installs a couple of utilities so that you can set the sound levels, you can set your record levels, and if you have other things plugged in, you can set those as well. And it also has a cute little sound editor. Well, now the Windows drivers are installed, so to test that setup, all we have to do is restart Windows, and then when it comes back up, if it plays a nice little noise, we'll know it's installed. And so it is. So we've installed for DOS, we've installed for Windows, and now any program that you run that uses sound now has 16-bit full stereo sound from things like Mist, screensavers, and other programs. And believe me, sound adds an incredible dimension to your computer.
Well, Jim, as usual, you make it look really easy, but what if you're the kind of person who is even scared just to open up the cover of the computer?
Well, you know, Gina, if you're really worried about it, you can always take your computer down to your dealer and have them put it in for you. If you're going to do it, take it slow, read the directions, and if you run into any trouble, call up tech support. That's what they're there for.
That is what they get paid for.
Yeah, that's what they get paid for. And if you're buying a new computer, make sure you get it with the soundboard already installed, because then you don't have to go through all the hassle down the road.
Now, if you've got a Mac, of course, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, Apple's done a real good job. They built sound in from the beginning.
And that's the way it ought to be, I think, in the future. Stay with us for software titles that can turn your homework into home fun.